Did you have any other sort of punishment sanctions at all for anybody that was?
No, there's nothing else. No.
Any drugs?
Well, you see, when I was up there was no such thing as the drugs that they used latterly. I mean, if a patient took an outburst, it was a case of just getting them down and putting them into bed. But latterly, it was drugs did it all for you. They just gave them some drugs and they were quiet.
Do you think it was better when there wasn't any?
No, I think it was better for the patients. I mean, they were quiet and docile, but it saved them getting in any trouble too, you know, fighting with other ones.
Were you in any drugs at all?
I was just on the same ones that I used to be.
Right. What's that?
And that was the Gator I used to be on, or the Merrill.
Right. Did you feel them having an effect on you?
Sometimes I used to, and we used to get Praldehyde Jags.
Did you get Praldehyde?
I got it. Used to get it when I was, that day I got a bad phone call.
What was that?
My brother died.
Right.
And that's when I took a turn, and they gave me some Praldehyde to calm me down.
Right. Why were you taking Largactil and Mellow?
Been on them all my life. I've been on the tablets since I was 6 years old, and I've been on them since then, just to try and help me to calm down and that.
This villa here is the scene of one of the infamous incidents in the history of the hospital. There was a riot in 1957.
Dr. Curran was the superintendent then, and he got patients who had been very troublesome in different hospitals, and he brought them into the castle and put them all in one place, and it was just a powder keg. He knew it, all the staff knew something would happen, and it did happen. They transferred them from a hut up to a ward, and when they got into the ward, they started right away and they broke every pane of glass in the place, urinals, everything you like to mention, and the staff had nothing. They had no way of getting in. They finished up when they did get in, holding a bin lid in front of them to overpower them. They'd open razors as well, you know.
The patients
had burst open and took the open razors out that we used for shaving them. And the fire brigade was sent for them. They hosed them down. They had no trouble getting it through the window. There was no glass.
There must have been a fair amount of windows.
Terrible damage.
So what was the outcome of that?
The outcome was that 7 of them got transferred to Carstairs.
And the rest of it?
The rest of them were just dispersed around the ward. I think there was 20 in that ward. 20.
So was it publicised?
It was in the papers, yes. The press got it.
The riot is one of the narratives that I've recorded from most of the nurses who have worked in Lennox Castle Hospital. It was often told to new members of staff who started to work there. It also gave an insight to new nurses about what life was like and how difficult life was in the hospital and the potential dangers of the patients, working with the patients there.
The hospital grounds were strictly segregated. Women at the top of the hill, men at the bottom. The tea room halfway up marked the boundary, enforced not just for patients, but for staff too.
You said you were allowed a dance once
a week.
Right, were there strictures in that?
Well, you couldn't go up the road with them, you know what I mean?
But you were allowed freedom to dance?
Oh yes, under the supervision of the superintendent, his wife and the matron, the chief mailers.
So you could do whatever you liked. But you weren't allowed to go beyond a certain
That's right.
place in the hospital?
The tea room. Right. Tea room. If you were courting a nurse, that was as far as you, the tea room, and that was the finish of it.
So the tea room would be where?
In the middle of the hill. Up from the hospital section.
But, was somebody watching?
Well, a man on the telephones at night. Part of his job was walking about there at the witching hour, 11 o'clock.
No bribes come his way.
Yeah.
But there would be presumably quite a few romances between
There was quite a number.
nurses.
Aye. Oh, aye. I mean, most of the staff that stayed in Oval were married to nurses.
You mentioned your girlfriend Barbara.
Yes.
When did you see her?
Oh, it's a long while.
But would you see her every day, or?
Well, no, she you know, the dancing that you see, you get to know her. Because she worked in the laundry in here.
And could you not see her during the day at all?
No, but she was working the laundry, and I was up in apartment 2.
Right. And were you allowed to meet at night?
No.
Why not?
I don't think we were allowed to at night.
Right. But, so you'd maybe see her once a week, would that be?
When she'd been in the road to her work.
Right.
Then I was going up to go to mine, apartment 2.
So was there ever a time when you hoped that you'd have a girlfriend and get married or anything?
No.
No? Did that not appeal to you? Or?
Oh, no.
How was that? Most people, you know...
Because if you marry, you're not worries. You can work and do things in the house, you know.
Did you not fancy that?
Oh, no. You're better single. Too old.
With no aspirations to a domestic life of his own, James put great value on his links with people in the world outside. Visits play a key part in the hospital's routine.
Visiting was extremely frigidly regulated, and a record was, I say, kept of everybody who came to visit a patient. We can see here that this patient in particular was visited twice a week throughout a whole decade by his mother and father. It's just a list of dates, but in many ways it's quite poignant, the loyalty that some relatives showed to a boy here who I know was extremely multiply handicapped, and it's quite poignant that his parents came up to see him so regularly and often. And we can contrast with some of the other entries here there were years between the visits from any relatives or friends.
Using oral history techniques, Howard Mitchell has constructed a picture of daily life in Lennox Castle. This is history from the bottom up, giving a voice to ordinary people. Their experiences portray Lennox Castle as a strong, impenetrable society in which people lived and worked together, their lives totally dominated by the hospital. At times in its history, patients and staff were subjected to a stern, regimented routine. The written records alone would not tell us this story. Yet it's one we need to know as we consider how social policies affect the lives of people like Colin Sproul, James Lappin and Margaret Scally.